Alright everyone, David Koch finally croaked. I'll use his real last name pronunciation because he's dead now. That's the sign of respect that I'm willing to give him. It was so funny, the initial reaction, the first thing that happened was I saw Ben Shapiro's status on it. And he's like, well, people that are celebrating, you can think whatever you want about David Koch, but he was a philanthropist and a libertarian, and if you're celebrating his death, you're like ghoulish and stuff. Like the people joking around about it, there's something wrong with him. I think, didn't he say the same thing about like McCain and Herbert Walker and all the other fucking neocons he loves and hangs around with? Yeah, Ben Shapiro, libertarian. David Koch, libertarian. Yeah, the government should pass more censorship laws. Oh, Ben, you mean the David Koch who with his brother teamed up with George Soros not even a couple of months ago in order to start initiatives to drown out the independent voices online that you have to compete with? Oh, wow, what a fucking coincidence. People who are syndicated are largely left alone, while all of the independent content creators that make similar content, often much, much better and much more intelligent, they get drowned out. Wow. I wonder why Soros and the Kochs, who both own multimedia firms, would support such a thing. I wonder why Ben Shapiro would support it too, apparently. This puts him at odds with people like fucking Kyle Kulinski, of all people, even calling out YouTube as in regards to its ad algorithm, at least. My God, fucking Ben Shapiro, oh my God, how much he wants to be the next Tucker Carlson or you know, Stossel there, pretend to still be an independent voice. It's really, really funny. And there are people who take it seriously. It's like watching Ann Coulter. It's like, yes, I'm relevant. Fucking listen to me. It's so funny. Anyway, getting off Ben Shapiro because he's less relevant. We'll think about someone who is, which is David Koch. The Kochs were involved. This part that Shapiro is saying is true. They were involved with the formation of the LP, the Libertarian Party. That does not make them libertarians. Any more than the LP resembles, in its purest sense, libertarianism after many fashions now. It's been co-opted by other groups. Like in the last election, Gary Johnson and some of these others said, you know, look, we're going to emphasize our open borders spiel, and we'll get all those disaffected Democrats, the Bernie bros, to vote for us. And it did work. In numerics, as far as the numerics when it went, and Bill Weld, who's now actually running a so-called opposition campaign against Trump after saying last time around he'd never join the Republican Party again, so he's a fucking sellout. He was great at raising money off of it. How many millions do you think Weld and Johnson pocketed? Not that I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with doing that. I mean, it's a business strategy, and they did grow the LP's coalition considerably. It's just that a lot of people that joined it only joined it because they thought it was a bunch of weed-growing open borders advocacy. They didn't look at the other parts of it. Oh, by the way, we want machine guns and stuff like that. The Kochs were involved with the formation of the LP when they were libertarian. They very quickly became neocons, and what the neocons are is slightly similar. But on the fiscal end, it tilts more towards wanton corporate consumerism and not just laissez-faire, but corporate welfare. And so what ends up actually happening with neocons is they would be libertarian, except they have to pretend to be religious, which they usually do, not very effectually. They pretend to wine and dine the religious for demographic reasons, nothing to do with ideology. They're very good at that, the Pat Robertsons of the party. And then the Bushes as well. They go with the military complex. They don't have a problem with foreign wars. They justify them through one economic means or another. They like to wage proxy wars because they make money the same way as if they land actual U.S. troops on the ground. And then they make sure to be vulture welfare capitalists, if you could term it that. Like the Mitt Romneys of the world, they make money fleecing people, shilling, stealing, basically, legally. True capitalism requires production to occur. In corporatism, you don't need production to get rich. No, you can just flip things. You can be a grifter, basically, a parasite. There's a lot of parasitic growth on our economy. It's not really capitalism. The thing is, the Kochs left libertarianism behind because libertarianism became too capitalistic. Their own creation literally would have bitten them in the hand. They realized that under a laissez-faire capitalist model, like an Ancapistan model, they can make a lot of money. But they can make more if they use big government to actually cloak what they're doing. It's cheaper to buy off a senator and then fuck your smaller competitors with rules you yourself aren't following. It's much cheaper, it's much more efficient. So if you can go into government and restructure the tax code, like the Kochs helpfully aided them in doing, yeah, you can benefit the multinationals, you and your business buddies, and you form basically a worldwide trust that's non-competitive to drive up prices on consumers, to drive down the quality of goods, to make things as shittily as possible, to use child labor in China and sweatshops and pollute the world and to do all sorts of horrible things. That's not libertarianism. There are a lot of people on the far left that would like to think that's what libertarianism is. I wonder if Ben Shapiro would spar with them. Probably. But he's not a libertarian either. He's a neocon. He's a neocon that's just pretending. It's interesting to see people taken in by it. People who don't understand politics or propaganda are taken in by people like that. So my reaction to David Koch dying, as an actual libertarian, is, ha, ha, that's pretty funny, ha, ha, he's Dusty Bones. Well, he's not bones yet. He's still in the decomposition process. He's crepitating in his pine casket. His family probably didn't love him enough to give him a really nice mahogany one either. They probably, just like him, being greedy and bought off, they probably skimped on the coffin. Like, you just embalm him with some fucking water with some turmeric in it. It was one of his pet projects. He was talking with Marianne Williamson, right before he died, and he decided to go holistic. So we're just going to encase him in rock salt or honey or something. It'd be really funny. It'll be cheaper. Just pour fucking fake Chinese honey that's actually corn syrup in the casket. Preserve him that way. Then turn him into mellified man so they can take him and inject his liquefied remains into other rich old baddie people who think it'll make him younger. It's like adrenochrome or something like that. These people are nuts. I'm not even going into conspiracy theoryville here. I'm just saying they're into some weird shit. Isn't one of their new things they take the blood of children that's been donated voluntarily? Usually in the third world, I'm sure. And they inject it and they think that this helps them, like, rejuvenate. And there's actually some scientific literature that for some things it might be kind of helpful. It sounds a little bit like Elizabeth Bathory to me, but, I guess vampirism. Blood is a very special fluid. Read some Rudolf Steiner sometime and you'll know where these people are coming from. It's funny. So his last big act before departing the world, thank fucking God, it was to partner with George Soros, and Ben Shapiro doesn't see this as odd. No, of course not, because he's getting paid by a bunch of corporations too. It's the same fucking shit. He makes a lot of money. Of course he doesn't want real libertarianism. Real libertarianism requires, in some cases, back-breaking labor. Under libertarianism, supply and demand, something like Ben Shapiro might not be under as much demand, but in an interventionist system, you can create artificial demand by driving out independent competitors using your multinationalist tech firm buddies and then pretending to have a big problem with tech censorship like Ben Shapiro does. Very funny. And David Koch. Yeah, let me say, I think whatever you want about the Koch brothers, but don't talk badly about them now that they're dead. Why is it that people always get off on that kick, this virtue signaling bullshit of, well, I said this person was the devil. I said they were an irredeemable fucking piece of shit their entire life. But they're dead now. Now that they can't hear me complain about them, I'll pretend to give them respect. It's for the family. Bullshit. Fuck you. That's not how you think at all. You're overjoyed that Koch is dead. These people that are saying, well, just don't talk about it. You're happy that David Koch is dead. All these liberals out there are celebrating. At least be honest like the hippie trippy people are and celebrate the death of a multinational shill that didn't improve the world in any measurable way, and stop calling him a philanthropist. Fucking what philanthropy are you talking about? Oh, he helped some of the people around the world that his business empire helped destroy the lives of. Yeah, that's what philanthropy boils down to. It's like when George Soros gives free money out. Where do you think he got that money in the first place? Destroying people's lives, largely. That's the whole point. That's about all. Peace out.